Well, good morning, Dam Fam. Today, recording day is Friday, August 21st, 2026. And today on the Daily Beaver Morning Show, we are going to talk about some very interesting things because things appear to have gotten a little bit Shakespearean. As you know, trade talks are continuing with the United States, and we'll touch a little bit on that. But behind the scenes, out of nowhere, Premier Wab Kinew from Manitoba came out and appears to have wrestled the Captain Canada cape from Doug Ford as he went full bad cop on the United States yesterday. And at the same time, it would appear that, there is blood in the water. And what we told you before about Jivani coming for Pierre Poilièvre's job, well, now, if it was somewhat of a secret, it's completely out in the open now, but I have to be a little careful because there's a greater, much greater evil lurking. Intrigued? Grab your favorite bevy and grab a log and make yourself comfortable because here we go.
Good morning, this is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. PsychicTarot.ca, book your tarot reading and unlock your spiritual journey. And the Pepper Master, hot pepper sauces made from farm fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. Well, good morning and hello, kids and cubs. I'm just going to lift this up here. My mic needs a little Viagra. There you go. Well, good morning. See, we're already off the rails. Kids and cubs, and welcome to the Daily Beaver Morning Show, season 6, episode number 900. And see, I threw myself again. I looked at it before I did it, so I would remember it, and then I threw myself off. So I believe it's 966, if I'm not mistaken, of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. Oh, Canada, always 100% Canadian, right there behind the shoulder there, and always, of course, uh, Beaverific. Today, recording day is Friday, August 21st, 2026, and it is a lovely day here at the Beaver Lodge. Beautiful blue sky. I don't even see a cloud in it. So far, cool morning, not too hot. Hopefully, it will remain like that through the day because today is my first match of the tennis tournament. So I'm very excited. And turns out that I actually do know the David I will be playing against in the first round because, ironically, I think not the last time I played this tennis tournament, but the time before, in the first round, I had this David playing against me. I'm gonna get whooped so hard. But he's the nicest guy. And I enjoy any time on the court with him. So it's going to be a fun butt whooping, but it's going to be a butt whooping nonetheless. So yes, this evening. But you know what? Hey, I haven't had a chance to play him at all since the last time I played him, and I picked up a couple of new tricks. And who knows? Maybe he's slowed down. You never know. It could happen. Not gonna happen, but it could happen. Mm. So, but then, that will send me down to a C division, and hopefully there, there might be a tiny possibility. And if it doesn't work there, then I go down to D division, which is the lowest one. And again, there might be a tiny possibility there of picking up an actual win in a tournament because I technically do have one, but it was a walkover. Somebody said, "Win is a win. You take it." So, but I want to earn one. I want to earn one. It's been 6 years. I've been putting a lot of time into this one. I want to earn one. Uh, I'm the type of person, right? Just like I start playing a sport, tennis, like I said 6 years ago, and it's sort of like, oh, there's a tournament, sure, I'll go in. It's like you've just started. It's like, what makes you think that you have the stuff to actually compete in a tournament? I don't care. If they have me, if they'll have me, I'll show up. I'll play. Yeah, I'll get whooped. That's fine. I'll play. Sometimes ignorance is bliss, not knowing any better. It's like, you shouldn't be here. You're not at the level yet. Oh, well, I'm here now. Let's play. Sometimes I'm a sucker for punishment. Ah, wow. A big thank you goes for our podcast's founding sponsors, the Peppermaster, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvin Moon Publishing, and PsychicTarot.ca. Kids and Cubs, how is your mental health doing today? Clearly, I am doing very well. Um, got a slow start this morning. Did not sleep well last night, actually. Ended up sleeping in two shifts, and the second shift, unfortunately, wasn't long enough. So I did the be kind to and gentle to myself thing, and took an extra hour. So thank you for your indulgence today. No excuse, no tech thing, no nothing. I just needed sleep. So and I took it. So but everything, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. And the tree cutting down thing yesterday went very well. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see as much of it as I wanted to. Because there was a little bit of work I needed to get done. So I saw them up in the tree at one point when there was still a lot of tree left. There was the work had started while we were doing the show, which is why sometimes I seemed a little distracted because I didn't know if I was being called because I knew that there was a possibility at some time that I would be called. We did have to pitch in a little bit at the end when we the Trump. Imagine what I got on the brain. The stump. Although, Donald Stump, the stump, when it was still fairly high off the ground, and technically I didn't mind it so much because it was sort of cut straight, and you could sort of, you know, think of uh, redecorating or re-landscaping the area because we had to remove some brush out of there to do that, and maybe make it a nice sitting area or reading area or something like that, and that you can make it not necessarily as a table because it wasn't high enough, but if you wanted to be out there and let's say have a cup of tea and have a book, there was a flat clean surface on which to put it. But we decided that because of course the root of it is going under the shed that we want to use to make the studio, and of course, because there's still some energy in the tree and it's going to try to survive for a while before things start happening with the roots, and it starts drying up and shriveling and that type of stuff. So we're going to want to cover it, so to help it decompose and that type of stuff. So it had to be as low to the ground as we could get it at that point. So we had to do some digging and cleaning, and taking the dirt off and stuff like that, and removing the rocks and all that kind of stuff as close to the trunk of the tree as possible, because you don't want to you know have a chainsaw hitting a lot of dirt, and you don't want to have especially that quality chainsaw with that quality chain right on it, and you certainly don't want it hitting rocks, because that could be dangerous. So, we had to get in there and do a little bit of that, which was kind of fun, actually. uh, but yeah, it was a really, really, really tall tree. I just cannot express how tall it was. So it's just really weird for it to not be there. It's just really weird. We have a ton of firewood that we're going to have to find a way to chop into smaller pieces, because like we have like pieces that are like the full circumference of the trunk. And yeah, maybe about this thick. So, unless we buy a little mini chainsaw ourselves or something like that, because there's no way we're splitting that with axes. That that ain't happening, and, as much as I'm a beaver, my teeth aren't that good. The circumference of that tree is ambitious even for me, let's put it that way. So, I'm sitting there and I'm talking to my beaver sweetie. I'm thinking, maybe we should like put it on Facebook Marketplace. Maybe there were some artisans, that will make those charcuterie boards. They take like, whole slices of tree and then like finish them really nice and then sell them back to us like for like $60 or $80 or $100 or something. It's like maybe there's somebody that needs some wood. Because even like backyard fires in the evening in the summer, we enjoy a few of them, when the weather permits, of course, because wildfire seasons and stuff like that. But not so many. It would take us the rest of our lives to burn that tree. We have so much wood. Oh my word, it's ridiculous. And then a metric poop ton of mulch as well. That we have a garden, and we have like some landscaping in front, but again, way just way too damn much. So maybe we're gonna have to sell a little bit of that too. But yeah, it's it was really interesting to see it all happen. It was like there's like both 5 or 6 different sized chainsaws involved, and a wood chipper, and just and extremely efficient. And as a dancer, the way the arborist was moving in that tree up and down and all that stuff, it was really beautiful to watch. My beaver sweetie described it as elegant. So, y- you know, um, uh, if there's anybody in the Limestone City area that needs a recommendation for an arborist, I got a damn good one for you. They were and they were absolutely the most delightful people. So, um, cost us a little penny, but we saved a lot of money by keeping the wood, because apparently disposing of it is a huge charge somehow. I mean, we are going to use it. There's no doubt about it. But um, you know, uh, we might have to find some creative ways to get rid of s- some of the stockpile, because it's a lot. I took pictures. I haven't put them up yet, but at some point I will show you, Dan Fam. And it's wow. But really, really interesting. It's like if you've never seen a very big tree taken down, um, it's a bit of a show. I have to say, it's a bit of a show. Um, the neighbor behind us, that abuts back to back to us, whose shed the tree was hanging over. We didn't call or talk to them, about the tree because it was fully entirely on our property and all that kind of stuff. And so, I mean, we and sometimes a neighbor can be unhappy that a tree is coming down. That was not the case here. It would seem, that, the man was so happy, that the tree came down. Now there was a little bit of debris that fell in his yard, and, the people that we contracted said, they'll have no problem going over the side of the yard to clean it up. He said, "Oh my god, no, 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 don't worry about that." And the guy actually tipped them. I'm guessing that guy wanted that tree gone for a very, 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 very long time. So we're not gonna have any problem whatsoever with that neighbor. Now that the tree is gone. Not only that, not only will it not fall on his shed, at some point, but, he's got a whole bunch more daylight in his backyard now. If that was something he wanted, then, good for him. If he wanted to start a garden, well, now he's got sunlight, that's for sure. He was like, "Yeah, no, no problem. Don't worry. No, no, I'll take care of that myself. You made such a little mess. Don't worry. I got that. Here's a little something for you." It's like, "Whoa, okay." So they're like, "Well, what about a little something for us? We're the ones who made the decision to cut down the tree. Got anything for me?" Oh, man. Jeez. Ah. So yeah, and then because we had to put in a little bit of elbow grease, not too many, not too much, but a little bit. There's a little beach um, in the city here, so we decided to go there late afternoon and just spend a little quiet time. My beaver sweetie went for a little swim. If you saw in the shorts, caught a beaver sweetie in their natural environment in the water. uh, and then, had a nice dinner and fell asleep early, which was the first shift, and then sort of woke up very, very early and then got to bed again at some point. So, yeah, uh, a full day. A full day. Oh, yeah. And yesterday, the other thing that happened, for some reason, I thought I had a tennis match yesterday and got to the tennis court. I thought I was a little late for my match, actually, for 5 minutes because as we were finishing up with the arborist and all that kind of stuff, and so I'm writing my opponent says, I'll be there. I'm coming. I'm just finishing up here." And I get there and I don't see them, and I'm thinking, "Oh no, God!" You know, they got tired of waiting, and they left. And it wasn't a long wait, but they got tired of waiting. They left, or they didn't see the message and they thought I wasn't coming, and they left. Um, so then I'm looking at the thing again, and then I noticed that when on Monday they asked me if I was free Thursday, yesterday, or so I thought, they meant Thursday next week. So turns out I wasn't 5 minutes late. I was a full week minus 5 minutes early. So I treated myself to a hot chocolate. It was a nice bike ride. But, I did not get, the warm up, uh, unfortunately, for, tennis, in my tennis tournament, that I had hoped to get. But hey, that's okay. In, the news here, we have a Kit Uncover saying Canada beats hosts Mexico at FIBA Olympic women's basketball pre-qualifier. Yes, indeed. If we're having a little early Canadians who make us proud, they are Team Canada is indeed trying to qualify for the Olympics and has been doing fairly well so far in the tournament. Let's see here. There's two groups, and Canada has played the round robin in the group portion, winning all three of its matches fairly convincingly, defeating Mexico 70-64, defeating Philippines 85-38, and Senegal 72-57 to advance to the preliminary playoffs in the tournament. So that is going to be a good achievement. This is the Canadian women's basketball team, by the way. In the playoffs, they have New Zealand in the semifinals here. Uh, I'm trying to figure out very quickly here who gets to advance because it says preliminary playoffs. So I'm guessing that there's still maybe a couple of rounds left to go before the competition that determines who exactly gets to go to the Olympics. But yes, Team Canada will be taking on New Zealand, who finished second in Group A. And of all the teams in the tournament, at least in the round robin portion, the Canadian team has had both the best offense, scoring at 227 points, and the best defense with only 159 scored against them. So if that persists throughout the rest of the tournament, it looks like a Team Canada might be favored at the moment to win it. So we will keep cheering them on, and we will keep following this to bring you more about how it is that they're doing. But it would seem that their semifinal match is scheduled for tomorrow at around 7:30 Eastern Time versus New Zealand. I would suspect that it might be available to watch on the CBC Sports Player. Don't quote me on that; I didn't check, but that would be the first place I'd go look to see if it is the case. If you wanted to watch it, given especially since CBC has announced that it wants to put more focus on Olympic sports, so. That's probably your best bet if you would like to watch the match and cheer Team Canada on. There you go. Let's see. Oh, yes, I can uncover the news. Says that the national monument marking LGBTQ plus persecution opens this morning in Ottawa. And at the same time, um, it was announced yesterday that a gentleman named Andrew Perez has come on as the new, I think it is executive director of the organization EGAL, which is Equality for Gays and Lesbians Everywhere. So a change of leadership uh, there. At the same time as the monument opens, of course, one of the reasons it is opening is because even though Pride Month is known as it to be in June, because June is when the Stonewall riots took place in New York City back in 1969 in Canada. Um, or for at least for Ottawa, for the nation's capital, we have Pride uh, at the end of August, which is a little more tied to the history of the Canadian movement rather than the American one, and also just because there are a lot of prides, right? The various cities have one, and they're all competing. So, given that Toronto has theirs, end of June, sometime beginning of July, and Montreal has theirs at the early in August. Given in the region, we try to spread them up so we can, all go to each other's. We love a good party. Consider it pride maxing. We can't all have our parties at the same time. So this is according to Liam Baker here. Thunderclouds are gathering in the shadow of the Library and Archives Canada building in downtown Ottawa, but instead of rain and lightning, these clouds are meant to bring celebration and reflection as part of a new national 2S LGBTQ plus monument. Thunderhead, as the monument is known, is roughly 9-meter white column with rounded cloud-shaped openings. It's inverted clouds that are inside of this pillar, said Todd Ross, co-chair of the LGBT Purge Fund. And then really to gay it up, we lit it with a mirrored tiles so it feels like you're inside of a giant disco ball. Oh, girl, yes. The monument and its surrounding park are located near the intersection of Wellington Street and the Portage Bridge. Thunderhead recognizes the discrimination experienced by 2S LGBTQ plus people across the country, particularly during a decades-long campaign by the Canadian government known as the LGBT Purge. From the 1950s to the mid-1990s, the federal government investigated and expelled thousands of employees from the RCMP, Canadian Armed Forces, and the Federal Public Service due to their sexuality. Ross was himself honorably discharged from the Canadian Navy in 1990. The official reason given was that he was not, quote, advantageously employable due to homosexuality. Later, Ross joined a multi-million-dollar class action lawsuit against the federal government. Proceeds from the suit funded the monument's design and construction. The monument was designed by a Winnipeg-based team led by Liz Refford of Architects Public City. She says the concept of thunderclouds was presented as a metaphor for destruction and renewal. Quote, it's the perfect element that can hold two things at once, Refford said. So in the end, it wasn't a cloud, it was the absence of a cloud that is part of the monument. The column's openings and skylight allow sunlight to hit the mirrored interior, which Ross says creates a kaleidoscope of color. Flickering lights inside the column mimic the flash of lighting during a thunderstorm. The surrounding park was designed to shed light on the history of the anti-2S LGBTQ plus discrimination in Canada. A winding path leads to an interpretive wall detailing that history, including the persecution of Two-Spirit people at the hands of the government. 13 stones, handpicked by Two-Spirit elders from each province and territory, form a healing circle nearby. It's a place where I think people will have a range of experiences and emotions from really reflecting maybe on their own experience, said Michelle Douglas, executive director of the LGBT Purge Fund, who called the park a real beacon of hope. Like Ross, Douglas was discharged from the armed forces in 1989. She later sued the government, resulting in an out-of-court settlement in 1992 and effectively ending the military's purge. Refford says it was important that the site acted as a living monument as a way of both recognizing the history of discrimination and looking forward to the future. The site also includes a stage and other spaces for performance and gatherings. Ross hopes the monument and park can be used as a space both for celebration and protest. When things aren't going well, we want this to be a place where people can come together, he said. So there's a few different purposes that this has been designed for, and we're really proud of that. Governor General Louise Arbour will attend Thunderhead's official opening ceremony on Friday. Capital Pride 2026 kicks off the next day and runs until August 30th. And then recently as well, there were images from the Governor General, I believe, showing her raising the pride flag at Rideau Hall in celebration of public service Pride Week, if I am not mistaken. Yeah, in Ottawa, it's just a little later, simply for things in Canada where there were some changes that were important happened in the month of March, and there was a moment because in Ottawa we did do it at different times at one point, but there was an opportunity for us. I speak like I'm still living in Ottawa, but I was part of the community at the time there, to sort of rebrand Ottawa Pride as Capital Pride. So harkening back to the past of the movement and kind of making it a little bit more Canada's pride in one way, and bringing back a little bit of the protest element with the parade route from changing a little bit to ensure that it passed in front of Parliament as well. And I'm not sure if it gets to do that every year now, but when it does, there's usually a moment where the parade stops in front of Parliament for a bit. Yeah. for some respect, and then continues again. So yeah, sometimes it's hard to tell which is which because sometimes just the parade with the traffic, the parade stops too. You know, I'm not gonna lie. Oh man. So yeah, that's some good news. That's some good news that's already done there. And like I said, as it's suggested in the article, when bad things happen, it also creates a place for the people to gather. Should we need, uh, a vigil of some kind, right? So yeah, uh, that's that's going to be good. There's TV Ontario has an absolutely exceptionally good documentary about that time. I believe it's called The Fruit Machine, if I'm not mistaken. But if you have not taken the time to see that, um, you really should. It's really important to know our history, and that is definitely something you should watch because it's recent enough. It's like residential schools, right? It's recent enough when it finally all stopped. Um, that considering the progress and advancement we have made since then, it really puts in perspective how much progress there was in a relatively short period of time, if we're speaking historically. Um, but yeah, a lot of that stuff was um was more recent than we remember, and particularly if you had not been born yet, and therefore your lived experience is more within the Canada in which you have never known a Canada in which you did not have or you were denied rights because of your sexuality. Um, what happened and how not long ago it was uh, will shock you. It'll make the hair on your arm stand up a little bit. So, yeah, it's good to know your history because sometimes the most recently acquired gains are sometimes the first to be taken away when people start to decide that a better way to rally people is to try to get them to want to take away rights from people rather than making the circle bigger so that everyone has a seat. All right, kids and cubs, let's see what else do we have here in the news. Ah, yes, indeed. Nominations to run in Ontario's fall municipal elections close today. A little bit of early democracy is something that you do. Kit Dan, go Dan, has absolutely done that. And hopefully, we will have a couple more times opportunities to have him on the show to check in with his campaign before voting day happens, I believe, in October here for municipal elections in Ontario. And of course, we are also winding up uh, in the province of Quebec. I believe the first official date of the campaign is August 27th. So, and you can hear it in the rumblings and in the positioning out there that that the day is coming. Let's put it that way. One of the ways you know that is because this is an election that the Parti Québécois, if one is looking at public and opinion polling, has a decent chance of winning and obtaining a majority right now. If we are looking at the polling aggregators, the most recent data that we have goes back to August 12th. It is showing the Parti Québécois at 64 seats, which is exactly what it needs for a majority. The Liberals at 39, the Conservative Party of Quebec at 11, Québec Solidaire, sort of like NDP-ish, at 7, and the Coalition Avenir Québec, which is the current governing party, down at 6 seats. In terms of voting intentions, we're seeing the Parti Québécois at 30%, the Liberals at 25%, the CAQ at 20%, the Parti conservateur du Québec at 13, and Québec Solidaire at 10. So in terms of percentages, the spreads are such that a campaign could matter in this case. And of course, Premier Ministre Fréchette is going into this campaign with some big wins, with the deal for hydroelectricity and maybe even some wind power generation with Churchill Falls and Gull Island, with a lot of benefit going to Hydro-Québec because a lot of their expertise in engineering and in building and all that kind of stuff will be used in the case of putting this project together and bringing it to reality, should it go ahead. She has this win. We have the Parti Québécois that has openly campaigned on maybe not going through with that deal. Parti Québécois also campaigning on not going through with the Alto deal. So these are two major projects that the Parti Québécois does not seem to be inclined to help with. I do not know if that will help them in their election campaign or hinder them. We also have the Parti Québécois having recently announced that something that they had been hinting at before, but that they would not have a referendum on separation while Donald Trump was still president, which was kind of interesting thing to say because it kind of pretty much concedes the argument, doesn't it, that there is some advantage to Quebec being part of Canada rather than an independent state. Right? I mean, if you are so convinced that Quebec would be better and more independent on its own and better off, but not while Donald Trump is president, well, then but while not Donald Trump is president, the reason for that might be um, a reason that it actually is in your interest to stay with Canada, and maybe Canada isn't this 100% totally oppressive state that doesn't care whether or not the Quebec culture and language flourishes and thrives. Right? Because Paul Saint Pierre Plamondon's, again, theory is not necessarily um, uh, that Canada is evil, but it's just that they just don't get us and they never will. So, what's the point? Right? Now, maybe as we get closer to the goal, the language will start to coarsen and get a little more personal because he does have that angry tinge and that dismissive tinge that is similar to Pierre Poilièvre in his discourse. But you know, that's happening. And for some reason, it seems that the Bloc Québécois and the Parti Québécois seem to be helping each other a lot this time around, which is kind of interesting because typically um, the Bloc Québécois traditionally doesn't like it when the Parti Québécois does well, because when the Parti Québécois does well, they are the ones that can actually pass legislation, right? The Bloc Québécois can't. There's not enough of them. So the Parti Québécois is the party that can actually get things done. And often when the Parti Québécois is the government and the Bloc Québécois then tries to take up space, frequently it happens that the leader of the Parti Québécois reminds everybody in Quebec repeatedly that the Bloc Québécois can say and do all it wants, but the Parti Québécois is the one that can really just do things for them. Right? So frequently, when the Parti Québécois does better, the Bloc Québécois does worse, and vice versa, so that they are helping each other is kind of interesting here. Now, the Bloc Québécois is sort of in that uh, mid-range point if we're looking federally, um, because it's right now, if an election were held, the Bloc Québécois would have uh, 21 seats. But in the last election, uh, yes, they picked up 22 seats. So there has been, and that was down 10 seats from the 32 they had. So, the Bloc Québécois is getting pretty much to its ceiling in terms of the number of seats. There's a time where things got really bad and they lost official party status along the way. But 22-21 is a little low for where the Bloc would like to be, right? Uh, 26, 27, 28 in there. If you can get into the 30s, even better. There have been times, right? There's been one time it's been the official opposition. It picked up 50 something seats and was able to do that when the vote split in a very strange way. But 22-21 is in the lower end of the range, and they don't particularly like that there. So, Le Québécois um, did something interesting. This is about 17 hours ago. This is translated into English here. But again, given what we know about the trade negotiations as at about 17 hours ago, um, it's going to be interesting. I find it interesting that the Bloc Québécois put this out because, again, how do you know? So says, at present, it is Quebec that is making all the compromises and gaining nothing. Supply management, culture, forestry, aluminium, and aluminium transformers are taking the hit to protect Ontario's automotive industry and the West's oil. It is Quebec and the regional economies that are being used as bargaining chips for this agreement as we know it. At the Bloc Québécois, our message is clear. Don't sign this. Quebec is making all the compromises and gaining nothing? Really? Nobody else is suffering through the entire country? If he means this in general, if he means it specifically within the case of these negotiations, there's no way you can know that, sir. Nobody knows. Our government has been rather tight-lipped about what it is. There's a little couple of things that are leaking here and there. Most of the stuff that's leaking out into the public sphere is leaking from the American side. Right? In Canada, some of the things that we're learning, we're sort of learning by inference. Like, for example, when we had the interview with Flavio Volpe, and he said, the profit margin for the automakers is 6%. So, any tariff above that is not going to be good. Um, right? Uh, One could speculate that given that they say that they're so close, that they maybe have a tariff rate at effective tariff rate at 7 or 7.5%, and the Canadians want them to knock it down even more because you have to at least allow us to be profitable, or else this is not a good faith deal, and we're just not having it, right? We're in that phase where there's more back and forth, with a little bit of faster ping pong. Somebody's saying something, somebody's reacting, and, trying to get to, eke out the last little bit advantage that you can, or make the wording clearer so that there's no two different interpretations possible. So when we hit a snag, right? All of that kind of stuff. But we're in that phase, right? We're probably, I think not too long ago, I was saying it didn't look like softwood. There was absolutely anything for softwood lumber. David Eby, clear position, right? Two clear positions, right? The first one is, a couple of weeks ago that we showed you. It's like there is no way you are coming into Canada and getting our critical minerals from one province like this while you're slapping another. It's like if you're dealing with Canada, you're dealing with all of Canada, right? We're not doing this. Mm. Uh, But then there was like, there's no way in hell that that booze is going back on the shelves if lumber is not addressed. Now, David Eby, not just yesterday, but a while ago, signaled an intention that despite the fact he may not be getting anything or everything that he wanted, that he was not going to stray from Team Canada. This was on August 19th. This afternoon, the federal government briefed provinces and territories on negotiations with the United States. BC stands with Team Canada. While no agreement will offer everything our country is hoping for, the federal government has made substantial progress across strategic sectors. Given these latest developments, we are hopeful about the possibility of an agreement. Agreement or not, we will not go back to the way things were before. We will continue to push forward our work to find new trading partners and secure major projects to build a stronger, more resilient economy that benefits everyone. As we wait further details, we will never stop fighting for a more prosperous future for BC families. So it seems here that David Eby is saying, I really, really, really want something on lumber, but if I'm not getting anything on lumber, I do recognize that as a member of Team Canada, there's enough progress on enough things that do enough good to enough other people that I am not going to stand in the way of it. Possibly with a side of, but Prime Minister, you know that means you're going to have to come back to BC with another check. Possibly. You also have Nova Scotia Premier Tim Houston uh, making a similar comment uh, in an interview that was held with him, um, talking about uh, how would I put it? There may be some people who are willing to look at this particular opportunity as one to maybe get a little bit more out of the federal government. Tim Houston making the case that when it comes to him specifically, he is not about that. So that will not be happening with him. Uh, Again, very interesting. Um, I thought I had a link, but I might not. Um, I forgot I took the notes and I wrote the timestamp, but I think I forgot to include the actual link to Mr. Houston saying that, which is very inconvenient when you happen to do only one, oh, when you do 7/8 of the job. Oh, well, it happens some days. Just taking a little quick look here. Here, I think I have been able to find it here. I'm not sure if this is the right one because there was one I saw Mr. Houston twice. Once where he was having a bit of a scrum of his own um, over like an application such as Zoom things, and another one that was an interview on power and politics. And I have found the thing on Zoom, but I did not find the power and politics one. And I do believe that the quote is from the power and politics one. So it's something that I might find eventually. But Tim Houston on the record as saying here that. Um, he is, as far as he's concerned, Nova Scotia, no problem if the prime minister asks him to put the booze back on the shelves. He is going to be putting the booze back on the shelves. If the prime minister asks him, to take one for the team. He is going to be completely okay with doing that, considering the situation at hand and how much progress, let's say, there might be. Um, you have other premiers. Premier Frechette was out with a couple of comments, and I want to present this to you because I'm really impressed with her. I have to say, right? She hasn't had a lot of time. She clearly is maximizing the time that she has. She's clearly got a game plan and a strategy. She is executing it. Uh, she seems to be executing it rather well, especially considering, again, very short runway, not many opportunities to make any mistakes. Um, she seems poised. She doesn't seem to get rattled. Um, she is definitely telegenic. Um, she speaks in a measured, poised, calm manner. Um, she does have the economic background. She seems to be a rather solid candidate, um, maybe with a timing issue, considering that the CAQ is, not particularly appreciated, and might can be considered a stale government. But I have to say, I am rather impressed with her. Uh, so I want, again, you have to understand that the CAQ is not necessarily a separatist or sovereigntist party, but is more of an autonomist party, right? So w- wants more autonomy for Quebec, but doesn't necessarily want to leave Canada. Um, and these comments are going to go in that realm, and that's how you know, right? We have a provincial election coming. Now, there's a bit here that she's answering in English. Um, and I'm bringing this up here, and there's a bit that she's going to answer in French, and then there's a bit that she's going to answer in English again. There is a member of the Parti québécois named Pascal Bérubé, who is the member of the National Assembly of Quebec for the riding of Matane-Matapédia, who put out something uh, on social media today uh, criticizing her for answering a question asked in French in English. I watched the entire media event. The journalist that asked that question had asked the question in French, but started off the question saying in French, requesting an answer in English. Now, there were two times she spoke in English. There's one time she did it, um, you know, uh, at the request to answer the question. And then there was another time, I think it might have been a follow-up question by that same journalist where she answered in French first and then gave an answer in English. So I'm not sure which of the two he highlighted this, but at some point in that press conference, that journalist specifically asked in French for an answer in English. And that's what she provided. So the Parti québécois is already trying to somewhat paint her as disloyal to the language of somehow on something that she did not do. She did absolutely nothing wrong. She gave the journalist what the journalist asked for, but there might have been some editing out, given that it was right at the beginning of the request for that answer to come in English. So I'm going to play the part in English, and then when she goes to French, there is no translation, so I'm going to translate it. And the reason I'm going to play it and translate it for you is just again because the answer is just so good. Right? And then she comes back to English for something. So here it is. The Premier of Quebec. Sorry, that is the wrong thing. Christine Fréchette commenting August 20th, so yesterday at some point in the afternoon, about her conversations with the Prime Minister, either one on one or after the Prime Minister took the time to hold that special briefing of all the premiers.
I had many questions for Prime Minister Carney last night during our meeting with other premiers. And this morning he called me and we had a long conversation and he had answers to my questions. So we are now analyzing the answers he gave me and analyzing the impact on Quebec's economy, because we need to have a global view, the complete view of the impact on Quebec's economy, and we will decide afterwards what's our position. And if it's globally positive, it is possible that we put back the alcohol on the shelves of the SAQ, but we need first to have the analysis.
Okay. So this is an answer I love, because it is calm, it is reasoned, it is reasonable, it makes sense, everybody can understand that, and it buys room to breathe as things are moving fast. I talked to the Prime Minister, I had questions, he had answers to my questions. Now, armed with all of this information, we need to go and analyze. I do not have a hot take. We need to go and analyze, because there's a global picture that we need to see here. Not just the three things that I talked about, which are very important, but there's a global picture as well. And we have to see if this is globally good. And if so, there is maybe a chance, not a definitive, maybe, that we will put booze back on the shelves. But right now, it's time for us to take the data that we know and go and look at it and see what this looks like for real for us before we have more to say. Perfection. Anybody at home can understand that if you're negotiating a big international trade deal at the last minute, when you're still at the table, when things are going back and forth, you might want to need, there might be a lot going on, and you might want to need a second or two, maybe a day or two, to actually just take everything in that you've all agreed to. Run a few tabletop exercises, see how it works. Is there anything in there that you've agreed to when you run it through and see it in practice? Whoops. We didn't expect that happen. Well, that might happen. We need to address that so that that doesn't happen, because we're not doing that for that to happen. Right? There's some work. You don't just have an agreement. Say, yeah, this is perfect. Let's go. You need to look at it. You need to study it. You need to run the numbers. I love this answer. Is it a little technocratic? Yes. But when you're renegotiating one of the most important trade deal you have with the partner, with the biggest partner you have, and your biggest partner is somewhat erratic like this one, I want technocrats there. I want technocrats there. Thank you. Yes, please. More of them, please. So yeah, I am definitely impressed. Now, I believe this next section, she speaks in French, um, so I might have to do some stop translation here for you.
Parce que je comprends que vous avez eu les réponses, mais avez-vous été rassuré par cette conversation? Ben, c'est toute une question
Okay, so I understand that you got some answers, but were you reassured by this conversation? The journalist asks.
de compétitivité avec d'autres pays. Donc,
It's a question of competitivity with other nations as well.
c'est pas juste ça paraît bien. Il faut voir où est-ce que ça nous positionne par rapport à d'autres pays qui
So it's not just does it look good, we have to see how it positions us relative to other nations. And right now, look at this young lady because she's really agreeing with the premier. She's given the answers.
exportent également aux États-Unis dans des secteurs qui sont stratégiques et névralgiques pour le
So, how relative to how we compete with other countries that also export to the United States in these areas that are central and pretty much critical.
Québec. Donc, c'est pas juste au premier abord, ah oui, ça me semble bien, on va aller de l'avant. Non, non, non. Il y a des analyses
So it's not just okay, this looks good. We're just going to go ahead. No, 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 no. There is some analysis to be done here.
sérieuses, rigoureuses qu'on est en train de réaliser. C'est important de le faire.
There's serious and rigorous analysis that we are doing right now. It is important to do it.
Parce qu'il y a beaucoup en jeu et il faut le faire de manière stratégique.
Because there is a lot at stake, we have to do this in a strategic manner.
Puis éclairé. Et c'est ce qu'on fait. Et puis, it is surprising to
And in an enlightened manner, and that's what we're doing. And now she goes back into English.
see the leader of the Parti québécois, while we are asking ourselves what's going to happen with Quebec's economy, to see him give interviews on the date of the referendum. I mean, it is unsensitive and irresponsible to do so because it's the worst period to start a referendum. And he thinks that it's going to go away as a topic because he will be organizing that at the end of his first mandate. Well, it's going to be worse because during 4 years we will have the political uncertainty that will be on Quebec territory because of the organization of a referendum at the end instead of the beginning of a mandate.
Merci, on va devoir quitter. Désolé, on va devoir quitter.
So there you go. The little bit of provincial politics that gets thrown in at the end, but she does make a point, right? If a call for referendum is going to bring political instability and uncertainty, if it's going to affect investment, and you say you're going to do it in the first 2 years of your mandate, and then you change your mind, you say, no, well, Donald Trump is there, and well, that's not really the winning conditions for us to get what we want. So we're going to do it after Donald Trump is gone. Please let Donald Trump be gone. But we're going to do it after Donald Trump is gone. Okay. Well, that means you just added 2 years to the period of uncertainty, just like Danielle Smith did with her referendum in Alberta, right? So if that referendum in Alberta on the matter of separation, at least, goes the way of voting to hold a referendum on that, between now the length of time between, the economy going into a bit of a tailspin, coming back to some, or getting the signal could come back to some type of normalcy, it gets a little longer because now you're going to have the whole period until that referendum takes place. And let's say that referendum does go. Well, it doesn't matter which way it goes, right way or wrong way. Let's say there's some unrest. Or right way, let's say it takes a long, long time to negotiate the terms of what the agreement of separation are going to be. Let's say, because this is constitutional, let's say they go through all that and then it goes to the courts and it's like, nope, sorry, this is not constitutional. It's not going to happen. And then let's say there's unrest, right? There's the economic disruption can go on and 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 on, right? He's just announced by announcing that his referendum will be at least 2 years later than he had perhaps hoped. Right? Well, maybe not at least 2 years later, but delayed for anyone he had hoped. That all that additional time becomes time for uncertainty and economic stagnation and drying up of investment to take place and add damage. She's not incorrect. But in both answers, again, right? Nothing dramatic. No big attacks on the personality. Same thing with the Churchill Falls deal, right? The leader of the Parti Québécois wants to get rid of that. Okay, fine. But he's got to tell Quebecers where are we going to get those 10,000 megawatts of electricity that we're going to need if we're going to keep on growing, and where is he going to make those 20,000, 23,000 new jobs? What's he got then? Because the issue's still there. If we don't go ahead with this project, we're still going to need the electricity. What's he got? How's he going to get it for us? Right? These are not vicious attacks. Okay, let's be practical about this. Can you? Sometimes populists can't. Right? Depends how well they've thought out their strategy. So, and then with this whole thing on trade, yeah, we need some time. No. It's not about just whether or not this looks good. For each of these individual sectors, there are other nations we are competing with. How do we look relative to them? If we're going to have a tariff rate no matter what, how does that tariff rate place us in relation to them? There's some serious and rigorous analysis that needs to take place now. Nobody should be expecting a hot take. Eminently reasonable and actually true. I'm a big fan of why lie when the truth will do. She's just telling the truth. There's process. Certain things take time. I was very impressed. Ah, man. Seeing here a comment from the kits about Mr. Graham Hughes that I am not familiar with. I'm going to note the name down here. Graham Hughes, can take some notes to look him up, because some kits are suggesting that he could be a good interview subject. There you go. All right, I've made a note. Thank you for putting that in the chat, damn fam. All right, so lots of stuff going on that front. The trade negotiations are pursuing. Yesterday, interestingly enough, how would I put it? The meeting yesterday between Dominic LeBlanc, which is our Minister of Internal Trade, but also, of course, Canada-U.S. relations specifically. We have Maninder Sidhu, who's doing all international trade pretty much except for the thing with the United States, and then Dominic LeBlanc taking care of that. His meeting, and well, I should say his and Trade Representative Janice Charette's meeting. I'm not sure if the ambassador had any role in this one. I keep on hearing his name mentioned here and there, but not as a big player, much more sort of as a general facilitator or something. But, doing his part. But yesterday, the Prime Minister's Chief of Staff, Marc-André Bachand, was also there. And it would seem that there were people that had traveled back to Ottawa, that then traveled back to Washington, D.C., that people had canceled plans to be able to return to Washington, D.C., to have more talks. Um, so, according and the meeting seems to have been the longest one that they've had over the course of the few days, right? The meetings that they've been having is sort of like, oh, I don't know, an hour and a half, an hour and such. The one yesterday was greater than 3 hours. Um, Again, some people are reading into it that that's a good thing because it means that they're serious and they're talking about it. And then there is certain other people that are saying, well, that must be, must be there's a bad thing that they hit a snag and now they got to work a lot of something out at the last minute. We have no indication one way or another. Just none at all. Um, so yeah, that is not going to be happening here. Um, doo, 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 doo. I'm looking for an article. I've got this thing that's giving me a rolling time thing with a small little snippets, but I'm sort of looking for something that would be a little more comprehensive. Um, since I have it in front of me here, the premier of the Yukon, Curry Dixon, said on a statement on Thursday that the Prime Minister's request to allow U.S. alcoholic products to be sold, quote, comes in the broader context of a deal that is in the best interest of the country. On this basis, I have agreed and steps are being taken to respond to this request. He said Yukoners can expect U.S. made liquor to gradually return to stores in the coming weeks. Um, there's been some talk about digital trade alignment. Not exactly sure uh, what that means. I'm not exactly sure how that fits with our quest to have increased digital sovereignty, if we're talking about more alignment. So that's something that we're going to need more details about as it comes in. There is some talk that there might be a lowered steel tariff. Again, this is all a source with knowledge of the tentative deal, but we don't know if it's a source on the Canadian side or a source on the American side. We don't know what the origin is, so we don't know. Again, right? You have to remember when sources like this are speaking. Sometimes it's to give additional information. Sometimes it's to run a trial balloon. Sometimes it's to misdirect. Sometimes it's to. So we don't actually really know here. But apparently, out in the rumor mill is that there's some talk of a lowering of tariffs on steel and aluminum from 50 to 25%. We'll see. Again, does that make a material difference? Who knows? Um, LeBlanc had stepped out of the office yesterday, but Janice Charette had remained to continue talks, according to David Cummings of CBC about 14 hours ago. Now, over 4 hours after LeBlanc stepped out of the office of the U.S. Trade Representative in Washington, Canada's top trade negotiator, Janice Charette, is still in the building for negotiations with her counterpart into the evening. Greer, the U.S. Trade Representative, left the office shortly after 7 p.m. When asked if there's a deal, Greer said, "No comments this evening." Okay. Let's see what else. It seems there's another source said that a government official confirmed that the potential Canada-US trade agreement includes a change to the way dairy import licenses are allocated by the government. The details were not shared, but the source said it could mean retailers become eligible to receive import licenses, which could lead to an increase in the supply of U.S. dairy products in Canadian retail stores. So it's not something that would affect supply management itself. It would appear that when we negotiated CUSMA, the Americans were under the impression that the increased access would be to actual retail stores. It turns out the Canadians got to decide where the access went, and it went to producers instead. It seems that the Americans were not very happy about that and thought that they got duped. So that might be why this is appearing here. So it seems that it is indeed the case that it might there might someday, relatively soon, be super hormoned U.S. milk on Canadian shelves for you to choose and buy. If any of you remember the Little Rascals, don't drink the milk, it's spoiled. Or the Simpsons, don't drink the milk. But yeah, it looks like there could be some U.S. Dairy products in Canadian retail stores now as a result of this deal. Again, something that doesn't hurt supply management, but something that does remove store shelf space, which is at a premium from Canadian products. So, again, just how much store shelf space? Again, Canadians, we can put it in the deal that they're allowed, but once they put it on the shelves, if we do not buy it, there is no reason for the company to keep ordering it or your grocery store to keep ordering it. Now, is there? Just don't buy it. Just don't buy it, right? That the federal government has to agree to certain things in order to make this deal go through doesn't mean that you need to help the Americans become more profitable as a result. Just don't buy it. That's your choice. Government can't force you to buy it. The Americans can't force you to buy it. Just don't buy it. Yeah, keep the boycott going on. According to David Cummings, says while it was expected that Washington would play host to a mere 30-minute meeting toward a forthcoming Canada-U.S. trade deal, negotiators instead spent hours in the U.S. Trade Representative building as discussions lingered later into the evening. While the deal to slash U.S. tariffs in exchange for Canadian concessions is still being finalized, there was a lot to learn from today's negotiations. Canada-U.S. Trade Minister Dominic LeBlanc told reporters that negotiators were very close to a deal as he left the USTR office this afternoon. Last we've heard from CBC's Washington Bureau, Canada's lead negotiator, Janice Charette, remained in the building for negotiations with her counterpart into the evening. Some premiers weighed in on Prime Minister Mark Carney's request to put U.S. booze back on store shelves. Newfoundland and Labrador Premier Tony Wakeham said all premiers agreed to the ask, but Quebec Premier Christine Fréchette said Quebec would follow suit if the deal is, quote, globally positive. Manitoba Premier Wab Kinew said he's willing to do it, but encouraged consumers to, quote, buy the Canadian stuff instead, just like we did here. He described Carney coming close to begging premiers to return U.S. booze to shelves, which Nova Scotia Premier Tim Houston said was not even close to how the meeting went down. Kinew also had choice words for American leadership, saying he thinks U.S. President Donald Trump is, quote, very weak, and that the administration is, quote, back on their heels. Kinew said that he doesn't expect to be satisfied with whatever deal is reached. We still have yet to hear from some provincial leaders on the deal, like Ontario Premier Doug Ford, who has been outspoken about retaliations against U.S. tariffs, but has been inordinately quiet. Thankfully, given the mess he made of it last October, this time around, thus creating an opportunity for Wab Kinew to step up and say, thank you, I will take in that Captain Canada cape, and I'll be playing bad cop this round. A source with knowledge of the deal told CBC News that a lower tariff on Canadian steel will include a quota system, allowing only a set volume of imports into the U.S. at the lower tariff rate. Again, that is something that concerns me, because once you set a quota system and a quota rate, then people try to negotiate the number downwards over and over and over again. Hopefully, the quota rate system, if that's what happens, is set at a number that is high enough, like it is for dairy on the U.S. side, for example, that it's a quota that we would never reach anyway, and therefore a quota in name only. Because that's the way that you use language to say that you got a deal and that you won, and sometimes end up not really giving anything away. Sometimes. Let's see here. Earlier, CBC reported the deal would lower tariffs on aluminum and steel to 25% from the threatened 50%. Discussions around related derivatives and exemptions continue. We also learned from an industry source that a government official confirmed the forthcoming deal includes a change to how the government allocates dairy licenses. While the details were not shared, the source said it could lead to an increase in the supply of U.S. dairy products on Canadian shelves. Let's see here. There's another sort of recap thing here, but there's nothing new in that one. Let's see here. 52 minutes ago or so, maybe a little more now, because I've been on this page for a little bit, maybe about an hour ago. No, it says 52 minutes ago. Canada U.S. Trade Minister Dominic LeBlanc's office said that he and Canada's lead negotiator, Janice Charette, are slated to meet with U.S. officials at the U.S. Trade Representative's office in Washington, D.C. this morning at 10:30 a.m., so 13 minutes from now. So more talks. So I'm guessing they had the talks, they went back to various parties, got to, the next orders, and now they are going forward here. David Common of CBC asks whether or not Canada's auto sector can survive the proposed deal. Says most of the cars Canada builds are sold into the United States. Trump has repeatedly said he wants that to stop. The leaked details of the deal in negotiations suggest Ontario's auto sector will continue to face tariffs, though at a lower rate. It likely dooms the industry to a slow death, Daniel Tish from the Ontario Chamber of Commerce told CBC. The margins for automakers are tight. The current 25% tariffs are money losing. Lowering it to 15% doesn't change that math. Quote, over the longer term, the business case becomes much less reliable, said Greg Mordew, a former Toyota executive who's now an associate professor at McMaster University. He points out the automakers have big investments in Canada, with assembly plants costing $2 to $3 billion to build, but some will get to a point where they'll just cut their losses. The Detroit 3 automakers have already started moving vehicle assembly out of Canada to U.S. plants that have spare capacity. The GM plant in Ingersoll, Ontario has closed. The Stellantis plant in Brampton, Ontario is idled and may be sold. A shift has been eliminated by Ford in Oakville, Ontario. Ontario's auto sector has been shrinking for decades with fewer jobs and fewer vehicles produced. Now, with tariffs seemingly being baked in permanently, automakers will reassess the long term. Quote, I think that this may one day, there's an error there. I think that this, there's some superfluous words there. Oh, I think this is what was intended. I think that one day we'll look back and say this was the death knell, said Ian Lee from Carleton University Sprott School of Business. While most of the details and caveats of the proposed deal are still not known, you can bet in Ontario many are questioning how much longer the auto industry can survive with tariffs of any kind. And then Anya Zolidziowski, 13 minutes ago, latest update, as Canadians continue to wait for news of a concrete trade deal with the United States, major businesses in industries like auto, steel, and more are stuck in limbo, waiting to determine how they'll be affected and whether they'll get some reprieve. Daniel Tish, the president and CEO of the Ontario Chamber of Commerce, spoke with CBC News earlier and said he has four main questions about the looming deal. Does it clearly restore the competitiveness of the sectors Trump has targeted? Are any concessions Canada makes fair and reciprocal with U.S. concessions? And when Trump inevitably breaks this deal, do we still have some leverage? Tish also said he will be looking to see whether the deal creates a pathway for the extension of the Canada-U.S.-Mexico agreement on trade. We're hopeful that answers to at least a couple of these questions will be something we can live with, he said. Still, Tish struck an optimistic tone, saying that Canada has remained incredibly resilient amid Trump's tariffs. We have to aggressively work to reduce our dependence on the United States of America, he said. So there you go, kids and cubs. That's about all of the updates at the moment with regard to that specifically. But we are now back to the same spot as we were on Tuesday with a midnight deadline looming, and us wondering whether or not, again, we're going to say we have a deal, or whether or not we're going to get yet another extension, because we're very close. We're just so very close. I'm saying, yeah. All right. So, let's see here if there's just this little additional bit here, because we got something from a JP Tasker here about the meeting. It says here, LeBlanc, who has been back and forth between Ottawa and Washington over the last few days to nail down the finer points of what could be a substantive bilateral agreement, was tight-lipped with reporters about what exactly was accomplished behind closed doors with U.S. President Donald Trump's trade official, Jamieson Greer. But he said there's been some positive developments. Quote, we continue to do the important work Canadians expect us to do. We had a long, detailed meeting with Ambassador Greer and his colleagues, LeBlanc told reporters after wrapping up the nearly 3-hour meeting, which was initially expected to last only 30 minutes. Quote, Canadians expect us to get a deal that's in the economic interest of Canada and Canadian workers. We're very close and we continue to make progress, he said. While none of the details of what's being considered have been made public, a source with knowledge of the forthcoming agreement said U.S. tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminium are being lowered from 15 to 25%, of course. So these are the things that we mentioned. Just seeing if there are some additional quotes here or some not insider information, but background information that can be used. No, not here. So that's the main stuff that we have. There is here, now hopefully I will be able to find it, a link to the thing I was looking for with Premier Houston stating that he would be on Team Canada if that was asked. So I'm going to go and get it right here from him. This is, whoop-a-lie, that is not right. Oh boy. Okay. Okay, I have weirdness going on yet again. There we go. That's better. Wow, that was very odd indeed. All right, let's get the timestamp here. It was 5:42. So let's bring that back up and let's do that. Okay, boom. There we go. Just put the mute on for a second. I believe that's it. 5:42. Apologies for that, kids and cubs. There we go.
Being at the table and knowing all the things that are being discussed, I just have to put faith in the process. So what I've heard is that this is something that's important to the Americans, and that the Prime Minister has asked premiers, he asked, would we put alcohol back on the shelves if we thought, if we were getting to a deal that was good for the country long term. So when the Prime Minister asks something and it's good for the country, it's not my desire to try to play my own politics with it or try to, maneuver it some way where I think it benefits me in some way. This is about the country. This is about tens of thousands of jobs across our country. Those are all families, they're all Canadians, and they need the support of the leadership, elected, business, community, all those things to push in the same way. So the Prime Minister asked about alcohol. The Prime Minister asked me and says it's good for the country. That's good enough for me. I put my faith in my country and my leadership in that sense. And to try to extract that out of a very complicated negotiation and say, well, this is a piece right here that I'm going to play politics with. That's not what I'm all about. And I don't think anybody should be at this point in time.
Now, Premier Kinew earlier today said that he described it as the Prime Minister coming very close to begging the premiers to put U.S. alcohol back on the shelves, and that a deal is not possible without that. Do you think that's a fair characterization of how it went down?
Actually, I'd be surprised. That's not even close. I don't know what meeting that might have taken place in, but it certainly wasn't one that I was in. I mean, the Prime Minister was very frank with the premiers on the moving parts across various sectors, and very frank on some of the things that the Americans were looking for, and alcohol being one of them. So if the Prime Minister asking us to do that in the name of country, I think is more important. I would certainly not describe him as begging, but I would describe him as being committed to getting the best possible deal for our country and being honest about some of the parts that may be involved and the requirements of us. He asked for a couple of things from premiers. One was around alcohol, and the other one was to make sure that our provincial procurement policies don't specifically exclude the United States or companies in the United States. So I take those two things seriously. No, I wouldn't. I'll be surprised to hear somebody characterize it like that. That's not what I saw or heard.
In terms of what we've heard so far, the little leaks that have happened about the details, whether we're talking about sectoral tariffs on steel and aluminum going, from 50 to 25, and the auto tariffs possibly coming down. These are all gains that Canada seems to be making, and obviously ones that need to be made for us to sign on to a deal. But how much water is Canada going to have to put in its wine to get these gains? Did you get a sense of that from the Prime Minister?
The only sense I got is that this has been going on for a long time, and the team under Minister LeBlanc and the whole team there, they're putting a lot into this. We're putting a lot of faith in them, but they're putting a lot into this. There are so many moving parts, and it's very complicated. So look, not being at the table, I don't want to presuppose anything that I just don't know about. But what I would say is that obviously it's not an easy negotiation. Obviously, it's going to have a long-term impact on the relationship. So everybody knows how serious this is. So I think that there'll be some give and take, and if some of that is putting alcohol back on the shelves, then hey, that's okay. That's part of the negotiation. But at the end of the day, Canadians are going to decide if they want to buy the stuff anyway. I mean, whether we put it back on the shelves, I don't know if Nova Scotians are going to flock to the stores to buy it. Those are consumer decisions, and we can put those decisions back in the hands of the consumers. But look, I just think that we have to accept that this is a serious moment, and it's a complicated relationship. It's a long-standing relationship. There's the economics to the relationship, but there's also the emotional aspect of it. And I think when we can get a deal, if we can get a deal that's fair, we can all live with, that starts to deal with the economic reality of it, and we have to work through that. And then the next step will be trying to work through the emotions of what Canada's been through a lot here. A lot of things have been said about our country, about us as a people. There's been a lot, right? So we're going to have to work through that in the fullness of time too. And that's not just inking a deal doesn't make that go away. That's going to take time, but we need to get to the deal so people can have certainty about the trading opportunities they have. Of course, we'll continue to diversify markets in Nova Scotia. We're going to develop our resources and do more things to grow our economy and be more self-sufficient. We're working hard on that, looking for more diverse trading partners around the world, working hard on that, making good progress on that. But the United States is our neighbor, and they're always going to be a significant part of our economy and the economic relationship with trade back and forth. So if in today's moment, because of a very complicated negotiation that's obviously been difficult, there's a bit of moving parts and some back and forth, then I think we need to accept that and just deal with that and move forward. And I'm happy to do that, put my faith in my country.
We have to leave it there. Thanks very much, Premier Houston.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
So there you have that, Kits and Cubs. So that's one view of it. Oh, Kit Saucy there. Thank you. Putting a link to the documentary, The Fruit Machine, that I was talking about right here in the chat. Thank you. Thank you so much. Very, very helpful. So yeah, as you can see, Tim Houston taking a specific tack here. And again, right? Taking a specific tack in that, also, a progressive conservative premier, not on the same, well, I guess some would say maybe on the same ideological perspective as the Prime Minister, actually. But, in terms of party branding, not. Right? And playing that card in that way. So yeah, Wab Kinew, of course, got a lot of attention yesterday because he had another view of it. Now, again, somebody's got to play bad cop, and Doug Ford had his chance. Let's be honest, and didn't make the most of it. Let's put it this way: made the most of it long enough to get reelected to a third majority, but was not able to maintain the momentum. Let's say. He had a lot to say. he gave about slightly less than 30-minute press availability, uh, where there were a lot of memorable moments, and I'm going to bring you a few of them. But Wab Kinew yesterday was just not having it. It's the best way I could put it. Just was not having it. Now, this is not new from Wab Kinew, because if you remember, we presented you some experts of an interview he did with Mike LeCouture of CTV, when he was turned around and, talking about Trump, says, oh, how about we, uh, raising the Epstein files and everything in there, and with Mike LeCouture looking so shocked. You want to say, so you just retaliate, like no, not what do you want in exchange for the booze? Everything, everything exchanged for booze. I mean, that's a little unreasonable, isn't it? It's like everything, right? And so Wab Kinew has got no time, none, for President Trump. So here's a little excerpt
that the Prime Minister really, really recommended, and we decided to put the booze back on the shelves. What I would say to Canadians is leave it there. If we put the booze back on the shelves, don't buy it. Let it sit on the shelf where the Liquor Mart employees will be putting it, and buy the Canadian stuff instead. We've done an amazing job sticking together in the face of Donald Trump's tariff threats, and I think we should continue to do that. We're going to continue focusing on building up Churchill. We're going to continue focusing on encouraging local business, including our brewers and distillers. And let's send a message that even though the Prime Minister and the Government of Canada might think it's important for us to put things back on the shelf so that they can get this deal and help some of our fellow Canadians, some of their employers, some of their businesses, that we don't like Donald Trump's approach to trade or his way of treating Canada. Very wise people have said you can't get a good deal with a bad person. And I think that rule applies here. I mean, President Trump is the reason we're all paying so much at the gas pump right now, because of his misguided war in Iran. And I could go on and on and on about the Epstein files, and you know that I will. But realistically, this is a situation that we're in as Canadians. So we still have agency. We can still make the choice. We can still say Crown Royal is better than Jack Daniels.
All right. There we go. Wab Kinew. A little taste. That's not all he had to say. But there, right, calling for people to leave the booze on the shelf, right, expressing zero confidence in the validity of a deal with Donald Trump, right? Pretty much, well, basically said you can't make a good deal with a bad person. So right there, right? It's how would I put it? He's channeling the anger, right? There's a lot of Canadians that are in a position right now. It's like just concede nothing, no deal with the Americans, just F them, right? Might feel good, might not be the more pragmatic way forward out of the situation. There's no way that we are going to come out of this deal without making concessions. So right now, if you're taking position that, a successful deal is a deal in which we make no concessions. A successful deal is a deal in which we have no tariffs absolutely on anything, including lumber, something we've never had, right? These are not serious positions. Right? These are not serious positions whatsoever. There is going to be things that you concede in a negotiation. Now, of course, we have to show that we got concessions ourselves that are material enough to matter. that point is just fundamental, if you want. So yeah, that's Wab Kinew, first intervention. But if we take a look at a little more that he had to say here. Wab Kinew being consistent with a previously held position, as I mentioned before, the belief that, well, as he puts it, no Kuzma, no Buzma. So even though, again, he said in that answer, despite all of that, right, and all that he's going to say next, he did agree to put the booze back on the shelves. So like David Eby and like Premier Houston, he's doing it. But unlike Premier Houston and maybe maybe Premier Eby, not sure. Premier Eby might have more to say depending on how lumber turns out. So maybe keeping his powder dry. But Premier Kinew, like I said, no F's left to give. Just none. So let's see here. Watch him. There's a certain consistency here.
Are there sticking points in the deal that would is holding up your decision?
Well, there's tariffs in the deal. And we have a big steel plant in Selkirk, Manitoba, great employer, great people who go there each and every day. And I'd love the tariffs to be zero. That said, I think what we've been saying throughout is the doctrine. Some people are calling it a doctrine of no Kuzma, no Buzma. And I think that condition has been satisfied. We do have Kuzma. In terms of what's on the table, what I've seen in the media has been accurate so far this morning. So Kuzma exemptions and then the process for Kuzma to continue, that's looking good. But again, what did we have 2 years ago before Trump? What did we have a year ago? What might we have when American elected representatives grow some backbone and stand up to a president who's raising the cost of living on their constituents? So again, I don't think it's hard to see where I'm coming from. I'm skeptical. I'm not, going to cheerlead things here, but at the same time, yeah, that's where we stand today.
So again, very clearly, he does not like this. Very clearly, he's still taking swings, right? This minus that shot, right? This is going to get some attention. This is going to go viral. This is going to spread, right? There's no way it can't. But again, making some good points. There's a brashness there with which it is being made. Again, maybe that's something that will resonate with the President of the United States, given that he has some brashness as well. This is the next one here. Again, basically, I could show it all to you because, I mean, the whole damn thing is is a highlight reel. But here we go again. More about the Prime Minister allegedly begging the premiers here.
You were brief, but I mean, what were you told? You must have asked.
I was told by the Prime Minister that he wants us to put the booze back on the shelves.
Without giving you details?
They gave us some details, and other stuff they said they're still nailing down. So I wouldn't say that he was begging us, but what is a step before begging? So I get it from his perspective. Why does he want us to take the booze off the shelves? He's the one who got on the phone with Donald Trump, which, I don't think any of us want to be on the phone with Trump or in a photo with him. But there you go. Somebody has to do it. Thank you, Mark Carney, for doing it. And you can understand he got to a place where he can recommend a deal to Canadians. But I think for the rest of us, okay.
Is the Prime Minister saying to the provinces, if you don't put the booze back on the shelves, we won't have a signed deal by the end of the week?
Yeah, effectively. Yeah.
It sounds like you're not enthused at the process.
That's right.
Putting booze back in the sauce, but you
Leave it there is my. When we put the American booze back on the liquor mart shelves, Canadians, leave it there. Spend your money on Canadian products that are going to employ people in our country and that have an administration that respects Canada.
All right. So there again. So as you see in the answers, right? No inconsistency with no Kuzma, no Buzma, because in fact it looks like there is going to indeed be a Kuzma. Still doesn't mean we gotta like the way that we got there, and we know still what's coming. So not so great there. Also making the case here that it seems that the removal of the booze or the reinstatement of the booze on the shelves was indeed rather conditional here to anything going forward, and therefore he is helping. But then again, right, making the statement here that that it's bigger than just one premier or one province. And here we have Premier Kinew actually reiterating that here more explicitly.
Do you expect ultimately that will be the decision that's made when a deal is potentially reached, that ultimately you will be putting the U.S., because it sounds like you're saying that you are preparing to do this eventually, you're just kind of waiting until, the deal is right for you?
No, the deal will not be right for me, I would expect. But it's not about me, it's about Team Canada. What we've been saying for the past year and a half since all this tariff nonsense started. So my choice, whatever. Your choice is the most important thing. Your choice when you go to Liquor Mart, when you go to the LCBO and other provinces, your stores. Stick with Canada. We have labels on our shelves. You see a maple leaf, buy that. You see the stars and stripes, maybe keep browsing.
Do you expect ultimately that will be the decision that's made
So
when
that, again,
a deal is...
Right? Again, reiterating his message, don't buy the booze here. But, right, the deal made will not be right for me. He doesn't expect it, but it's not about me, it's about Team Canada. And this is here where Wab Kinew, and I saw Kitlenda saying in the chat here, I'm not sure, I'm still trying to decide or undecided as to whether or not what Wab Kinew did yesterday was helpful. And this here is, we can understand the first part, all that kind of stuff. This is the part where, for me, potentially it gets a little dicey. Not because anything that Wab Kinew is saying is untrue. Not in the least. Because a lot of the things that he's saying are things that we've said ourselves. But Donald Trump is always watching. And so is his team, right? We are, therefore, somewhat limited in some of the places we can go. Saying the quiet parts or the things that we know or that we're banking out loud may not be the best one. But he's not wrong here.
With the deal, is it enough tariff relief? Is Canada giving up too much? Like, what's your main complaints?
I think we should fight. I think Donald Trump is very weak. I think America is weaker around the world today than it was a year ago. He's about to get slaughtered in the midterms, and the cost of living is the #1 issue, and he is completely out of touch with the cost of living of Americans. I think we should fight. I think we've got the upper hand. They're back on their heels right now. They're coming to us for a deal, and so I think we should fight.
With the deal, is it enough tariff relief?
So,
is Canada giving up?
Again, right? All of this is true. That Donald Trump is weak, that this, if there was any moment to take advantage of him, it's now. All that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's all true. But maybe we shouldn't be saying that out loud. Feels good to say it. Don't get me wrong. So I could say it because I'm not at the negotiating table, but when you're premier, right, and you're probably being media monitored by the people we're negotiating with, that might not be territory you want to go to. Now we have Kit Ashandi here, who put something up that I like. And by the way, this is a new name for me, so welcome to the Beaver Lodge. And if you're not somebody that we've known from before who had to change their handle because sometimes YouTube and stuff or the interfaces will make you do that. If we do not know each other, welcome to the Beaver Lodge. And if we do know each other, still welcome to the Beaver Lodge. It's just not your first welcome. But Ashandi writes, when everybody else is talking about what concessions we can make and what we can give up, it's good to have Wab as a voice of reason. He's the only one saying zero illegal tariffs. Kuzma, no Buzma. Like I said, there is a role here, right, for that. There's absolutely a role for this, and there's a place for this, and it is needed. It's again just sometimes the person who is taking on this task can sometimes get a little enthusiastic. Let's put it that way. And therefore, that could lead to sometimes being a little bolder or more brazen than might be strategic at any given moment. So yeah, there's when employing this strategy, there always needs to be. It's almost like you're, 10% of you is sort of over here, hovering above you, watching yourself go, keeping yourself in check, because yeah, it's very easy, particularly if you're like monitoring social media and you're getting the positive feedback for standing up. In that sense, it could be easier to go to be a little too bold in certain instances. And I'm again not saying that what Wab Kinew is saying is wrong, right? But we have two objectives, right? We have the objective of standing up for ourselves and showing that we respect ourselves, of course. That I get, that I understand. We have to fight. That is absolutely there too. I get, respect that. Got to respect that game. So all of that is there, but we also need to negotiate a deal. And given that we know who we are dealing with, right? Given that we know who we're dealing with, we should, as good as it feels to punch him right in the kisser, right? That needs to be reserved for very, very strategic strike occasions, maybe to prevent a little shock along the way. But as a matter of course, right, just scratching at the fragile ego because we can may not be the thing. So a sentence, I think Donald Trump is very weak when we know Donald Trump's self-image. That's reaching for the jugular, especially if it appears in the media and the press and in public, right? Donald Trump doesn't like being laughed at. Made that very clear. Now, again, this next clip also, Wab Kinew spitting some bars of truth here, right? Definitely spitting bars of truth. Again, is it strategic at this point to say this part out loud? Not sure. Again, not untrue. All right. set this up. Volume's up. There we go.
So we have had language every time we go to tender something here in Manitoba since President Trump has launched these tariff attacks on us. We've had language saying preference to Canadian or non-U.S. So as part of this deal that the Prime Minister is asking, he's asking us to remove that as well too. That's had a huge impact, by the way. Year over year, 82% decline in Manitoba government spending on American firms. 82%. You can see why the Trump administration is coming to Canada and asking for a deal. We are in a position of strength. They are weak. They are getting beaten up. He's the least popular president ever because of the cost of living. So again, like, we can make these changes that the Prime Minister is asking, but who are we making this deal with? Do we expect that this is going to be the end of, like, Donald Trump is all of a sudden going to say, oh yeah, I'm not going to bug Canada again. We're going to say that Donald Trump is not going to change his word. He's not going to go back on his word. I think everybody, like, we can't predict what he's going to do, but I think everybody knows the American president by now. He's erratic, he's irresponsible, and he's not to be trusted. And this is a person that we were supposed to make a deal with, and we're going to make additional concessions for. That's why I say you can't make a good deal with a bad person, because who's to say it's not going to be undone? So with that in mind, we reserve the right to take the U.S. booze off the shelves again.
All right. Glad he said that part, however. But again, he's irresponsible. He's erratic. He's not a good person. We know it. It's true. It's true. Again, you want to be the one to say it outright, say it out loud. But we reserve the right to take the booze back off the shelves. We reserve the right to put the procurement qualification caveat back on. Absolutely. Absolutely. If Trump can go back on his word, we can too. Absolutely. No doubt. Mhm. So again, right? Saying the right things, saying true things, things in ways that Canadians who are really have had enough of this administration is it feels good. It's like, yeah, Wab. Again, wondering, however, how beneficial that is overall to us. So that there is a caveat. If you are going to be the one that pulls the Captain Canada cape and plays bad cop, right? That doesn't mean you can just shoot from the hip. You have to be absolutely strategic and almost surgical on where it is that you strike. And you do have to resist the urge of taking the shot just because it feels good. Because there are consequences to everything. Right? But Wab Kinew, definitely energized, definitely ready for a fight. I could see Wab Kinew in that press conference dressed like, like in boxing gear, and it's like stepping. It's like, yeah, he's weak, man. Let's go. Let's take some shots. I think we had what was it? I think it was Scott Reed yesterday talking about Wab Kinew being in quite a state yesterday. I believe he said something about Wab Kinew being full of piss and vinegar or something like that. So, he got attention. If Mr. Kinew wanted to get someone's attention yesterday, he definitely did. So again, right? Uh, we need someone like that, right? We need someone like that. But again, you have to be very, very careful about how you use it and when you use it. Doug Ford went a little too far, and you saw what happened. Right, and the American administration almost seems to have it out for him now, specifically, if you listen to some of the comments it makes. So that's Wab Kinew. That's everything on that side. Right? Kinew has declared war. Kinew is the one that is rallying the troops. He is saying the things that Canadians want to hear and need to hear. He is, how would I put it? Giving us a cathartic outlet that we do need, and that is going to be, can be helpful here. How would I put it? And by doing this, he is giving the Prime Minister some negotiating leverage, in the sense that I've mentioned before, being in that room and saying, like, for example, saying, like Janice Charette said in the room, I am telling you now that if you go ahead with these 50% tariffs, we will not be able to control what it is that the Canadian people do, and we will not be able to rein in our premiers. You've heard them. You see them. You are going to push that button, and you are going to make them so damn mad that there will just be no coming back from that. I will not be responsible for what happens. It's almost like we went a little madman theory on our own. Right? They severely underestimated us more than once. They are surprised at our tenacity. We are causing them some pain. We are definitely causing them some pain. So, it's true. They came to us. They set that artificial deadline of 30 days because they needed a deal from us. They came to us. All these things that Wab Kinew is saying are true. And yes, we probably could be dicks and extend this and extract more. And who knows, maybe that is what we're doing. Maybe we are going to find out that we're going to get another extension, another 2 or 3 days, or over the course of the weekend, or until next Tuesday or something of the sort. Because maybe that's exactly what we're doing at the table here. We're extracting. We're showing up with the math, like Flavio Volpe said. Said, this is still not working. We still can't sell this. If you really want to have something, given that you've been wiping back a lot of losses lately, if you really do want to win, you are still going to have to do better than even that. Because this is still not it for us. This is not happening. We could probably squeeze. There is a limit to how many times we can try that before someone gets mad and decides to, decide we're not serious. That's a risk, how many times you go to that table. But we probably could go back one more time. But given that we still have a broader fight to go with regard to finishing up the whole CUSMA thing along with Mexico. We could probably save that hit if we needed it. We could keep that arrow in our quiver for use at another time, no doubt. So yeah, here's that clip I wanted to show you of Scott Reed, also adding a little bit there when it comes to that. Because he brings an element here that that's important. Scott Reed is also on the record as having said, and I think I brought this to you earlier, as saying that for the Prime Minister might actually have had a better time or an easier time of not reaching a deal with the United States and going to the Canadian public and said, listen, man, I tried my best, but these guys are just so damn freaking unreasonable. You've seen them. Than actually getting a deal, because once he gets a deal, there are certain concessions that are made. There are going to people that are going to jump on those concessions. They're going to call them betrayals because it's politically expedient for him. He's going to be fighting war, or politically, I should say, on more than one front all of a sudden, because once you have an agreement, then there are real things in it that people can react to and say not good enough, bad enough, or characterize however they want. And the Prime Minister has to go out and sell the entire thing. So this could be, if there is a deal or an agreement of some kind, interim or whatever, this could be one of the times where the Prime Minister could be expending a certain amount of capital at the moment. And that's probably not, it might be difficult for the Prime Minister to maintain as extremely high approval ratings as he's been having after he announces what we've agreed to than before. Right? So, given that there is a potential blowback to the Prime Minister from all of this, this is the context in which Scott Reed has put Wab Kinew's intervention.
Boy, was Wab Kinew full of peas and vinegar. I mean, saying essentially, look, I'll go along with it. I'm not going to be the odd man out. Manitoba will not be the odd province out and break this deal down. But I think very clearly expressing his disfavor about doing anything that smacks of concession toward Donald Trump, calling Trump erratic and weak, saying he's come crawling to Canada because of domestic political problems and the war in Iran, called him an egomaniac. It was quite a thing. And to me, the most interesting thing, two interesting things, I guess I would say about Wab Kinew's intervention there. One, it may be a taste of what the Prime Minister can expect from a lot of Canadians who I think probably will also reluctantly, begrudgingly accept terms of a deal. We'll have to wait and see them, but we'll do so very unhappily because we know that people feel very disaffected by Donald Trump. I think the second thing is we know that Trump is listening. We know that those comments appear to have been designed to give Pete Hoekstra, an aortic aneurysm. So what effect, if any, might they have on the talks that are ongoing at this moment and remain presumably at a very delicate stage? So Mike Kinew's intervention caused some discomfort on the American side. That's something that you have to worry about if you're the Prime Minister and the federal government trying to get this thing over the line. Boy.
So there you go. Scott Reed in that intervention talking about both concerns here, right? Whether or not it could be unhelpful to the process, but also, whether or not this is a taste of what the Prime Minister can expect to get. Because I'm sure that there are a lot of Canadians that are feeling like just no more damn concessions to that MFR. And that would be normal, by the way, damn fam, to feel that way. Another development, as you mentioned, so Wab Kinew declaring war. There was another declaration of war that took place yesterday. This one much less subtle than WAP's, if you can announce it, if you can believe it. But according to Kelly Geraldine Malone of the Canadian Press, as appeared in the Globe and Mail yesterday. Oh, come on. Don't do this to me now. All right. Let's, sorry. I'm going to need a second here because the computer is not being kind. Let's try that. Okay, there we go. From the Canadian Press, Kelly Geraldine Malone. U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance. Oh, how's that from out of left field for you? U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance weighed in on the latest trade deal with Canada at a fundraising event Wednesday, saying Prime Minister Mark Carney tried to, quote, to out-tough President Donald Trump while crediting his longtime friend, Conservative MP Jamil Jivani, as a helpful advocate for Canada. I don't really need to read the rest of the article. That first paragraph says it all pretty much, right? If you're paying attention, all the puzzle pieces just went click, 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 and you know exactly what this is about. But let's go on and see what the article says. In audio from the fundraiser in Southampton, New York, which was provided to the Canadian press by a source who attended the private function, Vance said Carney, quote, is a very sweet guy, and he gets along with him quite well. But Vance said Carney comes in and puffs his chest out and says, I'm going to out-tough Donald Trump. It's hilarious because Carney presents this as some victory for Canada when fundamentally, they climb down on a lot of issues, Vance told the room. But the quiet sort of behind the scenes story Let's try that again. But the quiet sort of behind the scenes story is that this, like random MP who has a good relationship with us, has been a pretty effective advocate, he said about Jivani. Now, J.D. Vance is in this room talking about his good pal, Jamil Jivani, to the room, framing him as some random MP who has a good relationship with us. J.D. Vance is bullshitting the audience he's actually talking to, that Jamil Jivani is some random MP, not his Harvard buddy. Couch buddy? His couch cushion? Who knows? But yeah. Vance added. So, random MP has a good relationship with us and has been an effective advocate. And then Vance added, there's this Pierre Poilièvre, there's this guy, Pierre Poilièvre or something, who is the leader of the Conservatives in Canada, adding he is a, quote, non-entity in negotiations. If you missed it from the first paragraph, do you now see what's going on? Let's keep reading. The White House and the Vice President's office have not yet responded to a request for comment. Trump announced late Tuesday a last-minute deal to delay new tariffs from slamming an array of Canadian products for 3 days. The temporary reprieve followed a phone call with Carney earlier in the day and weeks of intensified bilateral negotiations. Vance told the fundraiser for young Republican donors, of course, for young Republican donors, that Trump is not going, quote, to bend over to make Canada happy, but he saw that there was an opportunity here to get some wins for the country. And the whole point of this is to change Canada's behavior, Vance said, which they, not entirely, but they've certainly shifted in a Trumpian direction. Please tell me you see it now. What's going on? The Canada-U.S. relationship was upended by Trump's return to the White House last year with the president's tariff and threats of annexation. Trump's relationship with former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau was famously tumultuous and ultimately helped lead to the latter's resignation. The Vice President said Greer and Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick are leading negotiations with Canada, but he's been very involved, more so than normal, because of his relationship with Jivani. Oh. Now, what's interesting is Jivani's been quietly inserting himself into these negotiations, Vance told the crowd. Axios reported that Donald Trump Jr. and the son of Lutnick and senior Trump advisor Steve Witkoff were in attendance at the event. Vance said he asked Jivani why he was helping the Liberal government, and the MP responded that he cares about whether Canada wins. Vance said Jivani effectively advocated on areas where there was a win-win, like energy and automobile tariffs. The Vice President and Canadian Conservative MP for Durham have been friends since they both attended Yale, the alleged random MP. Sorry, it was Yale they attended. I keep on thinking it was Harvard. Jivani has previously written about their close relationship and that he spoke at Vance's wedding. The vice president noted the close relationship Wednesday, calling Jivani a very good dude. Okay, so I guess he did mention it eventually. Well, I mean, calling him a very good dude doesn't say that they're close. Jivani, that's like Donald Trump saying, he's a good man, he's a very good man. Jivani has traveled to Washington on numerous occasions, including an April meeting with Canadian business interests and Greer. During a previous visit to Washington in February for a solo diplomatic mission, Jivani met with both Vance and Greer. He also stopped by the White House and said he spoke briefly with Trump. At the time, Jivani said he wanted to contribute to Carney's efforts to negotiate a new trade deal with the Trump administration. Jivani's office did not immediately respond Thursday to a request for comment. The MP's outreach to the Trump administration has caused turbulence in the Canadian Conservative Party. Poilièvre has repeatedly called for any deal with Trump to be tariff-free. Poilièvre, who did not make a stop in the U.S. Capitol when he took a trip south of the border in March because he has no contacts, publicly rebuked Jivani following his first visit to D.C. after the backbench MP told a right-wing news outlet he felt Canadians' reaction to the trade war amounted to an, quote, anti-American hissy fit. He speaks for himself, and I speak for the party, Poilièvre said on February 17th. Poilièvre has since done absolutely nothing to rein Jivani in, thus declaring himself a very, very, very weak leader. And in case you still have not figured it out, what's happening here is political interference. Jivani is being promoted by the Vice President of the United States, a man who aspires to be the next President of the United States. Pierre Poilièvre, the current leader of the Conservative Party, is being described as a non-entity by the Vice President of the United States, aspirant to becoming the future President of the United States. Whereas Jivani, who everybody here sees as being summarily unhelpful, is being described as being not only helpful, but very effective. You do see what's going on here. The Vice President of the United States, the guy who fancies himself the heir apparent to the presidency in 2028, is trying to install in Canada the next leader of the Conservative Party of Canada. The Trump-Vance GOP is trying to execute a hostile corporate takeover of the federal Conservative Party in Canada so that it can be molded in its own image and do its bidding and represent its point of view here, essentially be a Manchurian party. This is foreign interference. This is foreign interference. Brazen. Right out there in the open. He's not talking to us in this speech, right? He's talking to young Republicans. But just like everything Wab Kinew says is going to get back to the United States, and everything Doug Ford does gets back to the United States, everything J.D. Vance does gets back to us, right? All those Canadians here who support the Conservative Party of Canada and are particularly MAGA just had J.D. Vance refer to Pierre Poilièvre as a non-entity and anoint Jamil Jivani as being someone who is an effective advocate for Canada. Now, I'm not sure how well that's going to work for JD Vance because, at least in Canada, as it is in the United States, there is a certain segment of the conservative movement that will never, ever, 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 ever vote for or support Jamil Jivani just because of his looks. And that portion may be enough to ensure that the Conservative Party could not win an election. But this is an open declaration of war. This is Jamil Jivani right out there in the open, handing the dagger that he wants to plant in between Pierre Poilièvre's shoulder blades, the dagger that he's been planting, where he's been surveying the territory to know exactly where to insert it in for the past little while by going on all these little missions and trying to steal Charlie Kirk's shtick and try to make it work here in Canada. Jamil Jivani just handed J.D. Vance the dagger and had J.D. Vance just plunge it right in between Pierre's shoulder blades. In February, when J.D. Vance went down there and we said, Pierre Poilièvre, watch your back, he's coming for your job. This is it. This is the move. Big sudden drop in the polls that we showed you yesterday. Polling aggregator showing that Pierre would come out with 86 seats. Having lost 4 MPs to Fort Crossing, 1 to the Senate, and 2 to I just don't want to do this anymore, sorry. About to have 2 seats flip away in a vote away from Conservatives in by-elections. 1 on August 31st, 1 to come when Brantford Brand South comes up for election. Fundraising down. And not seeming to be able to find one line of political attack or personality makeover that'll stick. Right? You even have Michelle Rumpel-Garner coming up for Pierre a little bit. She wrote a little essay talking about qualities that the leader needs, and asked if she thinks that Pierre Poilièvre can help her win the next election. Yes, but not much more than that. No ringing endorsement. We know that Jason Kenney, even though he keeps on saying online that there's no way that he's applying for the job, he wants the job. He's had the feelers out. Maybe he's decided that there's no way that he can win, that there is a core base of the party who, just like that would never vote for Jamil Jivani for the way he looks, would never vote for Jason Kenney because, well, he's not a real conservative, right? He agreed to certain COVID things, so he's not a real conservative. We can't vote for him. He's automatically eliminated, right? But yeah, this is, make no bones about it, this is outright interference, right out in the open. The fluffing campaign to install Jamil Jivani as the next leader of the Conservative Party of Canada, and there's going to be a lot of money coming from the United States to help him with that. It's looking like it, unless we tighten up those rules. Particularly the rules from how political parties can make money off merch sales. Yeah, that would be very, very important to tighten up if we don't want foreign money in our elections. But the campaign to remove Pierre Poilièvre as leader and to have him replaced with Jamil Jivani with the backing of the Trump-Vance Republicans is now officially on. Now, as happy as one might want be that this stuff is happening to Pierre Poilièvre because nobody can stand him, and he certainly deserves politically bad things happening to him. Pierre Poilièvre does not deserve this. We don't deserve this. Right? Dislike Pierre Poilièvre all you want. Boy, I dislike him. But I don't dislike him to the point that I want the Vance Republicans trying to convince us to put their pick for a party leader as the party leader. I don't dislike Pierre to the point that I would welcome this type of operation. This is not a good thing. Even if it helps us get rid of Pierre earlier, this is not a good thing. And on that basis, there's a whole lot of us who don't like Pierre who are suddenly taking a shine to him, who would really love him to stay a little longer now. We might have been a little too hasty in wanting him to go. Kind of taking a shine to him as opposition leader, especially if it's going to be permanent. Pierre stayed because the Liberals wanted him to go. Are you sure of that? Are you sure things haven't changed over the past few months? Because right now, Liberals are some of Pierre's biggest fans. I'm just saying. Oh my God. Wow. So yeah. This is what's going on. Kids and Cubs, this is what's going on. We have some real stuff. These are serious moments. Our relationship with the United States, the Prime Minister is right. There is a rupture. It is forever changed. Even if we come back from the brink of whatever this threat is, we are never going to be secure in the knowledge that there's not going to be another one. Right? There is no certainty. There is no permanency with this group. There is no stability with this group. There's only lying in wait until they come at us with another swing the next time. Right? That's why the political line from the Prime Minister that, we control what we can control and we make a plan, because a plan is better than no plan. And we go off and we execute it. And we do so choosing to have confidence in ourselves. And in the process, if we have to make little sacrifices to help each other out in order to make it happen, then we do. Right? We've done big things before. We can do them again. There was a time we didn't have free trade with the United States, and we were doing quite fine. We will do fine again. Should it all fall apart. Right? We are not as helpless and as broken as we have been made to believe that we are, as certain people have tried to condition us to believe that we are. We're not. We're frickin' Canadians, man. We rock. We're badass and we rock, right? And we like fair play and we like decency. And we're not big fans of extremes. It's just who we are. Right? So long as we remember who we are, no matter what political forces come out there and try to change us or try to convince us that we are different than who we are, so long as we remember who we are, we will be fine. We are made of tougher stuff. We know that what makes a Canadian is almost more in the fiber of your being than when you were born. Well, the way you're born really matters. But you know what I mean here, right? You could have chosen Canada and be living here 2 years and already caught on to what it is to be a full-blown Canadian and loving it and be willing to go to the wall for that, right? You don't necessarily have to have been born here. In fact, there are a lot of people who are not born here who very clearly are more proudly and happily Canadian than some who have. Right? That's not the criteria or the most important criteria for membership here. But there's some real stuff going on, right? The United States definitely does want us harm. And they're trying every method in the book. And right now with this Jivani thing and Poilièvre thing, we are seeing the most recent front on which they're coming for us. So again, let's remain vigilant. Very, very important. Let's remain vigilant. But we're on the right path. All right, kids and cubs, that's the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. We hope that you love listening to us because we love making this for you. Remember, sharing is caring. Word of mouth is priceless. So please tell your peeps and poops all about us. We really appreciate it when you do. If you would like to help us, you can do so in a few ways. One of the ways is to scan this QR code, which will bring you to our YouTube page if you're not already there. Click our buttons, like, share, and subscribe. Click the notification bell and select all so that you can be aware whenever we have some new content. And if you are not watching this live, but within 7 days of the original broadcast, and you are watching on your cell phone or tablet, please swipe left on the comment section and grant us some hype points. You can do that 3 times a week, and it helps smaller audience channels like ourselves gain wider distribution. So thank you so much. Another way that you can help us is by scanning this QR code if you would like to support us financially, if you believe that our endeavors are worth your support. We would definitely be very grateful to receive it because we do incur some costs to bring this show to you. This QR code will bring you to our coffee page, which is available at ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver, all in one word. You can make a one-time or a recurring donation if you like. Recurring donations can be stopped whenever you like. You are not locked in. It just gives us a little more certainty, and we definitely appreciate that. We get about 95 to 97% of your donation when you donate through coffee, which is also affectionately known as the Eager Beaver Lodge Emergency Hydration Fund, where you can provide your favorite beaver with a mug of hot chocolate or your favorite grizzly with some dark bitter coffee to thank them for their efforts in putting the show together. And if you happen to be generous enough to leave a little more, then we can pay some of our subscription fees and all of that kind of stuff. So thank you for all of your help. And you can also donate via YouTube if you're watching with memberships, super chats, and stickers. We get about 70% of your donation. And if you're doing the Buy Canadian thing and avoiding the US CE Tech Bros, a direct transfer from your bank to ours using our email address, truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com, will ensure that we get your donation with 0 fees. Yes, we get 100% of your donation, and the CE Tech Bros get not a damn thing. And that's the way, we like it, All right. Okay. So I'm being silly. It's Friday. You got to have a little fun, little dance party. So there you go. We very much appreciate everything that you do to contribute to the show. And if you're not able to contribute in cash, you can contribute it in word using our same email address, truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com. Let us know what you think about the show, good, bad, or ugly. Send us guest suggestions for the interview project, your questions about the show, the questions about politics. If you are looking for us on our socials, at True Eager, at the Blue Sky Beaver Lodge, also on the Jitter, True North Eager Beaver on Facebook. We also have our Instagram. Thank you, Kit Uncover, for all you do for us there. Beaver Bites on the Substack. And we also have the unofficial Damn Fam Discord. So lots of places to keep the conversation going when you're not with us. And remember our hashtags, Kids Who Cook, Kids Who Craft, and Kids Who Cultivate. Let us know what you're working on and give us some good ideas. And of course, your good news, share it because it helps us with the doom scrolling. All right. Let us share in your joy if you've got good things going on. We really love to do that. And on that front, congratulations to my good girl, Sierra. I love you, darling. Mama. She just became a mama for the first time this week. lovely baby girl. So hope it seems that mama and baby are doing very fine, doing very well. But yes, we have a new member of the damn fam. Cute little bundle, beautiful girl. Oh my God, I'm so happy. So yeah, good friend. I love Sierra, an excellent performer. She was. We met doing Guys and Dolls, and she's just fabulous. Love her. And trying to get her to collaborate on a fundraising initiative for me that might happen early next year or something. So keep an eye on that. She's like I said, she's just fabulous. So welcome to the world, little one. Hey, the Dan fam will be waiting here for you to say hello when we have the chance and Mama wants to show the world. So there you go. Lots of good news. So do send it to us. We really appreciate it when you do. All right, because democracy is something that you do, kids and cubs. Let's see. We have talked about elections and by-elections before. So today, let's do the Manitoba. Since we talked about Wab Kinew, let's do the Manitoba flood relief assistance appeal from the Red Cross because we could use your help here, kids and cubs, because we have some brothers and sisters who are having a little bit of difficulty given that we've had some floods in Manitoba this year, and the Red Cross and the government of Manitoba are there to help. The government of Manitoba will be donating $1 for every dollar you donate, so that doubles the impact. And if you would like to do so, you can by going to the website give.redcross.ca/page/26MBFLA. So there you go, kids and cubs. I'm going to put that in the chat for you. And therefore, you can go and do that. And if you would like to donate by phone or by email, there are ways for you to do that as well. You can contact the Red Cross at 1-800-418-1111. That's 1-800-418-1111. Or you can write to them at wecare@redcross.ca. That's wecare@redcross.ca. All right, just put that up on the screen because it's in the chat, but just get it up on the screen a little bit for you there. So please do donate if you are able to help out our brothers and sisters who might need a little bit of a hand up to get through a tough time. All right, kids and cubs. It could be a tough. Words of wisdom. I forgot words of wisdom. Same ones as always over the past few days. Breathe. Again, until there is text out there, do not assume that what you're being told is actually true because there's still some negotiating. Still, some things could be changing at the last minute. Right? If anybody tells you that they already know who is conceded, who's given up stuff, who's the winners and the losers, we do not know that yet. They are lying to you, and they are trying to get a reaction out of you. So again, just be a bystander. Take it all in. Don't make any decisions yet because there's still a lot out there and still a lot of unknowns for us to have any definitives to know if this is a win, if this is the best deal we could have gotten at the time, if this is acceptable, if this is something that's very bad. We do not know. All right. So there's no point in panicking or worrying or working ourselves up into a lather yet on things that we do not yet know. If there is some news later on, I might come online and do a special show because, again, we have until 12:01. So if at some point during the evening we hear something, I might do a special show and cover it. But until then, I think that's all we have for now, kids and cubs. So I'm going to say it could be a tough world out there. Please be kind to and gentle with yourself. And now at the count of 3, can I please have you say, Mr. Beaver, please cue the cock on 1, 2, and 3. Let me hear it. Oh, yes. That is the good stuff. Keeping the patriotism right up there. And that makes me very happy. So since you asked so nicely, here's a little cock-a-doodle-doo. Just for you. You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, their uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and The Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. We are grateful to the Crier Media Network for its support, Pete Jarvis for our artwork, and Paul Joseph Something for our opening and closing sequence music. All right, kids and cubs, and just a quick Canadians who make us proud. This gentleman right here that's on your screen might not recognize his face, but this is Mr. Victor Lai, and we have talked about him a few times this year because last year, around this time, he came out of nowhere, being ranked 50th in the world, to become the first Canadian to ever win a medal at the World Badminton Championships, picking up a bronze. He has since then proved that he is no fluke, having won the Indonesian Masters 1000 title over the course of the year, and having improved his ranking from 50th to 7th in the world over the course of the year. Well, he is back at the World Badminton Championships this year, and I am proud to say and very delighted to inform you that so far, Mr. Lai has defeated all opponents and has advanced to the semi-final of the tournament. So at worst, he's going to be 4th place, proving that last year's 3rd place finish and that Masters 1000 win were not flukes in any way, shape, or form. So go, Victor. Go get another medal. Maybe take a step up, maybe take 2 steps up. Who knows, right? Go all the way. Why not? The number 1 seed in the entire tournament got eliminated in the first round in a big upset. So the door might be a little open. Who knows? Maybe we'll have another world champion in a few days. All right. That's what I got for you. Everybody, have a great weekend. Amour et bisous. And I'm off to have some time with the wonderful Lady Laura. So you're going to get more beaver today, no matter what. All right. Bye, everyone.